Before Europe rose, before borders existed, before you heard about the pyramids or Shaka Zulu, there was an Africa that was already changing the world without knowing it. This is their story. Now, when we say lost tribes, we don't mean fully extinct. That's not what this video is about. We mean tribes not fully erased from history books, but certainly scrubbed from the mainstream narrative. Not quite gone, but disappeared from the major stories of Mesopotamia, Asia, and Europe. These are the African cultures that either migrated across oceans and deserts or blended into other civilizations. They built kingdoms and influenced languages, religions, architectures, and trade networks from Ireland to India. And the strangest part is their traces can be found everywhere except in the story of their existence. A little-known history. The easiest way to see their reach is through the most obvious, the Zanj people. The Zanj were Bantu-speaking East Africans, the name loosely referring to the Swahili and other coastal groups who lived around the Indian Ocean, some in what is today Mozambique, Tanzania, and Kenya. But many others settled all over Arabia and Persia and even established colonies in India and China. By the 8th century, the Zanj controlled one of the largest trade networks in the world. For decades, they traded along the eastern coast of Africa, carrying gold, ivory, leopard skins, obsidian, and especially slaves caught from inland tribes. These slaves would have no idea of their journey's end. Many would never see the ocean themselves, yet their fate was being decided in the bustling ports of Kilwa and Mombasa, where Arab and Persian merchants waited for the right moment to ship them off. This moment came during the reign of Harun al-Rashid, the caliph credited with starting Islam's golden age. When he died in 809, his son al-Ma'mun took the throne. Now, according to Arab sources, al-Ma'mun suspected the Zanj people of supporting his rival brother's claim to the caliphate. So he initiated a systematic campaign against them, forcing thousands into slavery. This did not go well. From 869 to 883 AD, the African slaves rebelled, igniting what historians call the Zanj Rebellion. Under the leadership of one Ali ibn Muhammad, also called al-Hajj, the rebels seized key cities, including Basra, Baghdad, and Mosul. For 14 years, the Abbasid Empire's soldiers struggled to put down the uprising. Ultimately, Ali was betrayed by another leader and sent to Baghdad as a prisoner, only to escape and disappear into history. But the impact of the rebellion echoes in several ways. One is linguistic. The Zanj spoke Swahili, a Bantu language that derives from the Kikuyu dialect of the Kikuyu people. And after the rebellion, many Kikuyu words entered Arabic. You can see this in places names like Ras Hafin, which was originally Ras Kafin, meaning Cape of the Pure Ones in Kikuyu. And two, they changed the course of Iraq forever. In fact, historians argue that the Zanji played a crucial role in turning Baghdad into a cosmopolitan city because when the rebellion was put down, al-Ma'mun used prisoners to rebuild Baghdad's infrastructure. Many of these convicts were skilled builders and artisans captured from the coastal towns. All of a sudden, people from sub-Saharan Africa could be found throughout the caliphate, not just as slaves, but as diplomats, merchants, and advisors. Their cultural influence mixed with the Persians, Arabs, and Turks that populated Baghdad, laying the groundwork for the city's golden age. But that's just one tribe. There were so many more moving across the Mediterranean. Consider the Berbers. If you know anything about them, it's probably that they were the indigenous North African people who resisted Roman conquest and later converted to Islam, playing a major role in its spread across the region. However, that doesn't tell the whole story. You see, the Berbers didn't just stay put. They also ventured beyond North Africa, crossing the Sahara Desert and entering the Mediterranean basin. Today, you can find Berber DNA in Spain and even in Sicily. But back then, they were real estate agents of the ancient world. Okay, maybe not that friendly, but definitely impactful. Wherever they went, they built homes, villages, and eventually entire cities, like the Moroccan city of Volubilis, famous for its Roman mosaics, showing the blend of cultures the Berbers were bringing together. They were also responsible for spreading horses, math, astronomy, and irrigation to the Mediterranean. But their greatest impact might be how they shaped the Moorish civilization. See, when the Umayyad Caliphate extended its rule into Iberia, modern-day Spain and Portugal, they found a land full of Romans, Visigoths, and Suebi. To rule these diverse people, the The caliphate needed allies, so they turned to the Berbers. With their help, the Muslims pushed north, defeating the Visigoths and conquering most of the Iberian Peninsula within just 70 years. And soon Berbers were everywhere, running farmlands and businesses, building mosques and walls, introducing new architectural styles, and, most notably, establishing libraries like the one in Córdoba, one of the largest in medieval Europe. The Berbers were there for the long haul, too. They ruled parts of Spain and Portugal for over 700 years from 711 to 1492. And in that time, they built dozens of cities, including Córdoba, Granada, and Seville. Without them, Iberia wouldn't have been the same. But once again, this history has been erased. After the Spanish Inquisition, the memory of Moors and Jews was systematically removed from Spain's historical consciousness. Yet their contribution is undeniable. You can see it in the buildings left behind, in the science and medicine they brought to Europe, in the works of their poets and philosophers. These were all foundational. Yet outside the Muslim world, almost nothing was written about the Berber role in any of it. Even worse, they were portrayed as uncivilized savages. And though this is slowly changing, it's a shame it's taken so long. Then we come to the Phoenicians. Now, while most people know them as the seafaring empire from the Levant, some historians believe they had deep links to African ports. You see, the Phoenicians loved to trade. They were some of the best sailors and navigators of the ancient world, traveling everywhere from Britain to India. And though their empire was based in the Levant, the people they met along the coast of North Africa, like the Berbers, may have impressed them enough to establish settlements. This was probably true in Carthage, the great city that became the capital of what historians call the Carthaginian Empire. Carthage is now modern Tunisia, but in antiquity, it was a major hub of trade and power. Legend says it was founded by the Phoenician Queen Dido, whose story goes like this. She fled her home in Tyre, escaping her brother, King Pygmalion, who wanted to force her into marriage. She ran away to North Africa and made a deal with the local king, Sikir. She would build him a city, and in return, she could keep all the land she managed to enclose with a bull. Thinking this was a small task, Sikir agreed. But Dido surprised him by releasing the bull and letting it roam freely. Enclosing all of this land took 14 months, and when it was finished, Dido had the perfect place to build her new city, which she named Carthage. Now, this legend is told in the Bible, but there are links between the story of Carthage and the legend of the Berbers. According to their folklore, a princess named Dido fled to North Africa after her father, the king of Tyre, gave her hand in marriage to a man she didn't love. This is obviously similar to the biblical account, and it makes you wonder if the history of Carthage isn't exactly what the stories say it is. Either way, the Phoenicians had a huge impact on Carthage. They colonized it, taught it their alphabet, and helped develop its navy. At its peak, the Carthaginian navy dominated the Western Mediterranean, engaging in constant warfare with Rome and Greece. Then in 146 BC, Rome destroyed Carthage, selling its people into slavery and using the stones to build roads in Italy. Today, we remember Carthage for its queen, Elissa, who sadly gets called Hannibal's mom, even though his story is way cooler. But what if the true story of Carthage and its queen is buried in time? Well, the Phoenicians also helped write the story of the Mediterranean because they weren't just traders, they were also teachers. They shared their writing systems and navigation technology with the Greeks, helping turn Athens into the powerhouse of the classical age. But that's the thing about this history. It's easy to focus on how Africa received and adopted, but Africa didn't just receive, it gave. This is Africa's ancient DNA. You can see it in the words and food, building styles and skin tones, in the rituals and beliefs that are still practiced today. The truth is, Africa's roots run deep, and the world still grows from them. But for too long, this history has been cut off, denied, and rewritten in textbooks that barely give Africa a footnote. Now, thankfully, that's slowly changing. As more historians dive into these topics, the story of Africa is being rewritten, chapter by chapter, tribe by tribe, word by word. So subscribe to History Rewritten and join us as we connect the global story.